everybody, thanks for tuning in today. First off, I want to say I love my little shirt here that I got from my friend Hillary's online shop. Hillary is an amazing person and she teaches dance to my girls and actually also to me because I've joined a mom dance group. That's been so much fun, but she has a little online shop now where she's got like some really cute, it's called Simply Put Collections, and she's got team stuff and kind of like inspirational spiritual stuff, just all kinds of neat things. I like this kind of sage green color of this shirt, but shout out to her. I'm readjusting my camera here. She is awesome. And in this video today, it's going to be like a two-parter. So I'm going to shoot part of it today and part of it tomorrow because it's kind of like a dual collection. I was sent this by ABH. I've started getting some ABH stuff and I'm like, what is this? I feel very special, very honored, but they have a sugar and spice holiday collection is what this looks like. I'm gonna focus on the spice side, I think, today, and then the sugar side tomorrow, but it's a couple of different palettes. Let me show you both the eyeshadow palettes that I think this all kind of centers around. This is the spice one, and then this is the sugar. So see the kind of contrast of tones. They've put out some liquid liners in various new shades, lip velvets in new shades, and new highlighters. And while I, over the years, have used a lot of ABH eyeshadow palettes, I feel like as far as the rest of the line goes, things are really new to me. I tried their foundation balm, I guess that was earlier this year, that really juicy, hydrating kind of sheer foundation stick, and I can't get away with that on just any day. Today I need my long wear, but like I tried that, but a lot of these nitty gritty products like lip products, highlighters, eyeliners, I've never used stuff like that. So this is going to be very experimental and I think very fun. But I'm coming to you now with everything but the highlighter, the eyes, and the lips done. So today I chose to use my Wet n Wild Photo Focus Matte Foundation, and I decided to try my Rimmel Multitasker Concealer alongside just to see how those two behave together. And I'm still following that Shelby Ann layering pattern, so I used my contour stick. Today I chose the Makeup by Mario one. For cream blush, I used my Tower 28. This is the one in Power Hour, so love that pretty fall shade. And then we begin layering the powders on. So I set with Rare Beauty Loose Powder. I used my e.l.f. Primer Infused Bronzer in Fresh Tan to set the contour, and then to set the blush, this is a really pretty pair actually, over top of the Tower 28, this shade called Daring Rosewood from the L'Oreal Infallible line. It's kind of earthy. I really like it, and I know that's just going to be locked in all day long. I did my brows, and I'm just kind of trying to use up brow pencils I have. I have this one from that Gwen Stefani line from Sephora, so that's shade 4. And then I'm liking this brow laminating gel from e.l.f. I like the little tool that's at the end of the applicator. I feel like the brows have been turning out well with that. And then Milani eyeshadow primer. So now we're going to use the things that seem to be on the spice side of the collection. These highlighters are like weighty, guys. Look at that packaging. I mean, they're going luxurious with this. We have this rose gold band. They're just heavy to pick up. They're called Glow Seeker highlighters. This is the one called Enchanted, and you can see it does look, you know, warm golden. I'm gonna peel that film. No films survive over here. And just so you know, the one in the like sugar side of things is called Ethereal. So that would be the one I would probably naturally go for, but we're gonna use the more goldeny one today. This is very metallic looking. Let's do a little finger swatch. Okay, she's gonna be able to go there. I'm gonna go on top of my look. It's like I'm seeing tiny little bits, tiny little shimmer particles. You know how so often I'll try a highlighter that I love and I'll be like, I can't see the shimmery flecks. This may be really hard to show on camera because I think at a distance you're just seeing a slight glossiness, but up close I feel like I'm seeing small, micro fine shimmer flecks. Like it's very apparent that you're putting shimmer on the cheeks. I would not use the word undetectable. I would not use the word sneaky. From here, all is well, you know, but get any closer and I don't know. I don't love the way that's looking on the surface of my skin. What we're gonna apply. It's odd how like a swatch feels opaque and full on, but yet applied with a brush or just like blend out your swatch. And if you see these in a store, like just blend out your swatch on your hand and see what I'm talking about. It's like the little particles aren't hanging together and you just have this sort of sheer veil of tiny sparkle bits. Could be worse. It is doing some highlighting, but I don't love that. Let's try the eyeshadow palette. This is what it's looking like. It's very glitzy. This is just called the Spice Mini Eyeshadow Palette. So 9 shades, 2 pure mattes, 2 real true pure mattes are this one up here and this one. This one and these two have like a soft sparkle. I would still use those like they're matte. They just, I think the sparkle is just for show, because I think once those blend, that will just kind of fade away. This one seems like just a true shimmer, like a very classic feeling shimmer. And in the middle, wow, those are really soft to the touch. I'm interested to see how these go on the eyes. They look kind of like a glaze. I mean, I am seeing the pigment, but they seem like they're gonna be really glossy. There's that peachy color that's on the end. Highly shimmery, glossy, and they were very soft to put my finger in. First off, I think I'm going to go to this color up here. It does have that slight shimmer that I described that I don't think is going to really be impactful on the eyes. And I'm just going to begin blending that in my crease. The thing from ABH, like I was saying earlier, that I really am familiar with are the eyeshadow palettes. Like, over time, I've just used a lot of them. Maybe, you know, some lip glosses here or there. I think I once got a little lip gloss set. But all in all, I'm mostly familiar with eyeshadows. And I remember once upon a time them having just the absolute softest formula. Like, you really had to watch yourself going into it. It almost felt risky, like dipping your brush in too hard, because you might kick up so much fallout and you might get so much excess on your eyes. And as time has gone on here in eyeshadow palettes, I feel like they've maybe firmed up that formula a little bit, but still stayed really pigmented. There's more recent ABH palettes that I've used and just absolutely loved. Going into this one, I'm seeing some softness. Like, I tap my brush into this shade. There's definitely some excess to be tapped off. So you're dealing with soft shadows, although at this point not unmanageable. So here I am just toasting up that crease and letting it come up. So often this step isn't just about crease. You know, it's about kind of laying a foundation for the look that's going well beyond my crease and trying to give some lift to my eye. Okay, and then I'd like to see this shade. I feel like this is going to be a really perfect on the border, kind of blending it out color. It's matte, and it's maybe just a little less bright than your classic like light cream that you might have in a palette. And yeah, it is looking really good just on the edge. Perfect depth level for my skin tone to just help things blend back in. I like that. Doesn't always have to be a pure white or bone highlight. Like, that can be good too. Now we want to try some of our dark shades and see how those operate. I have this pure, really matte brown over here. This one bringing some warmth. I'd like to go with the darkest just to see. I always want to know if it's a what you see is what you get type of color, right? A little excess to be tapped off, so soft but not wildly soft. And yeah, I'm seeing that color laying down there on the outer part of my eyelid. And then we're really gonna add some pops with the shimmer. Maybe we can fit 1 or 2 shimmers on there just to see how they do. I'm flipping my brush around, so application side going pat, 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 and then flipping it around and allowing the application side of that brush to take some product right up in there. It's not fully blended out yet, but you see where we've placed things. Just throwing bows over here. I do like the compact size of a 9-pan palette. 9 shades really makes you feel like, yeah, I got options, but I'm not overwhelmed. This color scheme, very natural. But the palette brings some glitz that's yet to be seen in this look. But you wouldn't have to include that every time. Like, think about if you loved the way this look is coming along right now, you could just go inward with that on your lid and kind of sidestep the shimmer. Although 1/3 of the palette is high shimmer. Keep that in mind. I'm liking where this is going. I'm going to take a bare brush, small detail brush. This is my small pointed brush from Profusion. But I'm just wedging it in there and I'm letting some of that color blend up and out. These shades are very soft, pigmented, and kind of mobile, okay? So you get some on, you're going to be able to blend that and kind of help it travel along that crease and outer corner zone. And you could also pull in another close shade, like this kind of feels like a step lighter than that darkest color. So one technique I love is going into a shade like that and then using that as my helper color to help things merge out. And I'm trying to bring it inward too. We're gonna have some shimmers going on and we want them to be nicely framed with that contrast. Oh, that looks so pretty. Really like these tones. So fall. But thank you, ABH, for sending me this. It was sent in the cutest little box, which I saved. It looks like a little gingerbread house, and it had like one panel that had part of this collection and one panel had the other part. So cute. Look how easily and absolutely flawlessly these mattes and semi-matte shades are working for us. I'm going to take a smallish flat brush and we're going to try laying down some of this shimmer. I want to start with the taupey one. Go into that, and like I said, putting my finger into it earlier, it seemed so soft and almost squishy. But I'm going to place this on like the center of my lid. I don't feel like it's showing a lot of taupe, but really just ultimately looking glossy, looking light and shiny and shimmery. I think these definitely could go on with a finger application as well, but the brush is doing a great job. I feel like my Milani eyeshadow primer that was previously applied is catching it. You know, it's really on there. It's looking glossy. My hope is that it lasts well during the day because not every super shimmery shadow does. Let's take a little of the peach. Now this shade in the middle, that's one of those where, yeah, it looks like a light champagne, but it actually has a very kind of yellow, almost spring greenish shift. And I'm not sure I really want to bring that into my look today, but I will take some of the peach. Just because this seems maybe even a little softer than these two friends right here, just softer in shimmer. Yeah, a little bit more like a classic eyeshadow. This and the taupe actually aren't differentiating themselves from one another too much. They're just both looking highly, highly shimmery. It's not like I'm putting this on you to think, oh, there's some peach there. No, it's just looking like glossy, bright shimmer, maybe just a little brighter than the last, and a little more opaque, I might say. But yeah, there's that. One thing I might do is take a deeper shade. Let's do this one in the corner, the deeper warm. Put a little bit of that on my outer lower lash line. Since we're really testing this palette, let's test it all over the eye, right? Right out here. And then maybe a little of this shimmer. This was the shimmer that I said feels like a classic, what you kind of expect to see out of a shimmery eyeshadow, this dirty bronze. And that's a really perfect depth level, I think, to go on the lower lash line. Or that could be like a one shadow look, perhaps. Because it's dark enough to give contrast, but have a little sheen too. I'm just blending softly there. I am gonna go immediately before I forget. You know I like this step. Take some Kosas Cloud Set, take any other similar pressed kind of translucent type of powder you like, and just go right under, very lightly, not with a bunch of product, but very lightly under what was just done there. It helps with the staying power. Now let's see what we've got going on with these liquid liners. I've never tried an ABH liquid liner, so these all feel new to me. Along with this spice set, I've got a Burgundy and an Aubergine. And then there's one here that doesn't even have a label. Is this gonna be just black? Which end is the applicator? That looks like just black. I'm gonna swatch all three. Solid black, probably the most finely pointed felt tip I've ever seen on an eyeliner, and nicely flexible toward the tip. So that's going to be important. You want it long and you want flexibility. This is Aubergine, the darkest wine color ever. Then Burgundy, will she learn which end comes out? Yes. Burgundy looks like pumpkin on the applicator, but I guess I really am seeing Burgundy in the swatch. And obviously you could pick up any liners you want. You could pair them with different eyeshadow palettes. This is just kind of the way they chose to market and group these. So we have black, Aubergine is in the middle. That's an extremely dark wine. And then the next one is Burgundy. It's more of a spicy Burgundy. And as they're drying down, they're deepening up even more. The Aubergine and the black practically look identical. I'll take the Burgundy. I'll try that going across because I don't usually use a shade like this in liner. It's good to see that they are a product that dries down. Again, long, skinny, flexible tip that's not a brush tip. I'd have to call it a felt tip. I guess I'm not positive what material this is made out of. I'm going to start in the middle of my eye and pull it out this way, and then kind of work my way in now that my applicator has less on it. First time ever using an ABH eyeliner. I think it's interesting that they put out liquid liners. I'm gonna do a little wing, because why not? Happy Tuesday. I always say the beauty of makeup, do whatever the heck you want to do. You don't need an occasion. This is your permission. You don't need an occasion. Just enjoy it. Can you tell what kind of color that is? Like, it is looking like deep burgundy across my lash line, but a really brownish burgundy. Can you see how brownish that looks? Hold up, is that a brush tip? No. It's just so fine, it's hard to tell. I can't see any brushy fibers separating from one another. I'm just giving myself a little small wing there. Looking more reddish right now, but like as this eye's drying down, I'm seeing more of the brown out of it. So it's not a profoundly burgundy liner. I'm adding a little bit under the wing so it matches my other side better. Hopefully these wear well. I'm encouraged by the way they're drying down, rubbing over them on my hand now. You know, they're not losing any intensity, although I did rub a bunch of shimmer over top of them. Okay, here's what's up. We're going to do some mascara and then we'll test out some lip colors. There's the finished eye. I did Wet n Wild So Defined on top and a little Cali Ray Come Hell or High Water on the lower lashes. Maybe I'm taking the way the PR package was put together a little too literally, but on the side of Spice, there were these lip colors, and on the side of Sugar there were these, and I feel like maybe they should be flipped. You know what I mean? These seem cooler and there's just more of a pinkiness to them. These seem more earthy, so I'm gonna consider these the Sugar lip colors. Like I said, this stuff is gonna be all for individual purchase, so you make the call on what you like best and what you would want to pair together. But the team at ABH said we're bringing back like makeup. Okay, glitzy glam eyeshadow palettes and then some dark lip colors, and these are called the Lip Velvets. We've got Pomegranate and we've got Cool Brown. I'm gonna try the Cool Brown first. Really pretty, really luxurious packaging. It feels kind of large, weighty. We've got a doe foot applicator. Oh wow, going on straight, just matte. You know how some things look liquidy or creamy and then they turn matte? This just matte in an instant, okay? They smell hardly any smell, really. The applicator does let you be really precise. There's a little dip in the middle of the applicator that's holding some product. I'm getting all over my lips without having to go back for more. Immediately after application, I'm able to press my lips together. There is a creamy feel, but that's Cool Brown. Man, she's dark. I do think that looks pretty paired with this eye look. I'm not one to shy away from a dark lip color, but it really feels like this is the color you're gonna have. It's not gonna like dry down into a whole other shade, I don't think. But I'm gonna wait here for a few minutes and see what this does just sitting on my lips. Took my little headband out. Largely, I feel like it's the same shade, but it hasn't really changed in texture. It still feels creamy. If I touch my finger to it, this is not like a full dry down kind of lip color. I've been sitting here for between like 3 and 4 minutes after putting it on, and I think it would have dried down by now if it was gonna fully do that. So that's our Cool Brown shade of the Lip Velvet. Now let's try on the other one. This is our Pomegranate. Like the other one, it's going on just immediately matte. Wow, lots of richness, depth. That totally changed the vibe of the look. We went from a whole overall earthy feel, and now this feels like classic glamour to me, seeing this rich red. I've always felt like a richer red feels more wearable than a bright red. Even though it is darker, something about it just feels more wearable on my face. But it's a high contrast look, is it not? Again, I'm not sure which was actually intended for which side, but these just seem like, in the tone of them, they would be more toward the Sugar side of the look. But yeah, this is our Spice face. I am not a fan of the highlighter. The liquid liners, it's gonna depend on how they wear. I'll report back tomorrow on like how this got me through the day, but I really like the application. Very precise. The Lip Velvets are for a serious matte lipstick lover, but yet somebody who's maybe been frustrated by the dryness of matte liquid lipsticks in the past, because they do not have a full-on dry down. You do not feel an absence of moisture. You actually still feel, I would say, a controlled creaminess. It's not a creaminess that you're worried about slipping outside your lip line, but that softness kind of stays there with it, and just full on matte, total absence of shine. I actually kind of like the cool brown. With this whole look, I think I prefer the cool brown paired with this palette. But this was probably my favorite part of things, was using the eyeshadow palette. I really had a nice time blending out the shades. I thought it was an enjoyable experience to apply. I like these tones overall, but my one critique would be that what's happening here in the middle, they're all like just these highly shimmery shades, and in swatches you can kind of tell, I guess, a difference between them. But once those get applied to the eyes, it's just like Shine City, and they don't differentiate that much. So like we could have gotten by with maybe one shade in this palette being that way, and then maybe having some other tones instead. Also, if you're just not a fan of shimmer that much, it may not be worth it to you to get this, because a third of it is highly shimmery. It's sparkle flakes. It's the holiday glitz, okay? That's not for everybody. If it's all seeming like too much, I mean, I still prefer the Lawless Dreamy Dozen 2 like that. Let's just show for a reminder. If you just want kind of a smoothness with your shimmers, not too much glitz, and some really creamy, excellent mattes with just a good variety, I'm loving Dreamy Dozen 2. That's actually kind of my holiday palette front runner right now, but we'll see how Sugar goes. We'll give a little try on and review of that tomorrow, so I will see you then. Love you. Hey guys, I'm back for day 2 of this little set. Today we're gonna do the Sugar look. So sugar and spice, spice and sugar, that's the order we're going in. We've got some really icy, like cool tones, couple of mattes, several mattes in the palette, and I'm excited to see what we put together there. But one of the other new things in this half of the collection is the highlighter. It's the Glow Seeker highlighter, and this is the shade Ethereal. And it's got this little like macaroon sandwich cookie kind of vibe with that big rose gold part there. And here you can see it's much lighter, icier seeming, less warmth than the Spice collection. The swatches seem okay. I'm not sure how it's going to come off on my cheeks. So I'm going to use my Real Techniques setting brush, get a little on, and I'm seeing all those little flakes. It gives, again, just like yesterday, from a distance, kind of a metallic look. And like I even was doing some Instagram stories the other day, and looking back on them, I was thinking, man, glowing skin. But if somebody came in close, you're really going to see the little bitty flecks of this stuff. This is just like yesterday, just a little icier overall tone. It's just not my choice highlighter. There's so many good highlighters that are out that look undetectable, that look blurring, that are just doing the job a little better. And some might argue, well, Em, how many times is somebody coming up that close and really inspecting your cheek? They're not, but I know it's there. And I know that if I get close, I'm seeing like all these little micro fine particles of shimmer rather than something that seems just like one with my skin. So I applied a very light amount of that. Again, from a distance, no problem. Just up close, watch out. What they call that on Clueless? It's a Monet. Oh, I didn't say what else I have on under this look today. I went Revlon Color Stay with my foundation. It's the shade Dune, $2.95 in the normal to dry formula. I'm wearing my Flex Wear Concealer in Vanilla. Those two make a really good long wearing combo, actually. Then I used my Laura Geller. Remember these little stamper things? They're so good, and they put the product on in such a thin way. Think of it as like a little more concentrated take on the Perfector 4-in-1. I dabbed that around and it blended in so nicely. I used some of this Makeup Forever HD Skin Blush and Glow palette. This came out pretty recently, and I'm trying to decide what I think of it. I'm not huge on it so far, but I used both of those shades, actually, sheared out on my cheeks quite a bit. And then I went on with my setting, my powder steps. I used Laura Mercier Ultra Blur on my T-zone, under eye, and like jawline area. And then I set my bronzer areas with the e.l.f. Primer Infused Matte Bronzer in Fresh Tan, and I just stuck with that line and used the shade Always Vibrant in the blush, just topping off my blush step. And then I did brows. I used Milani, the Precise Brow Pencil in Espresso, and the e.l.f. Brow Lamination Gel, which does, this gel, I'll say, leaves kind of a white cast in my brows right after I apply it, but if you use the brushy step and brush it on in, I like the way it holds, and I like the way it kind of volumizes a little bit. Then I did Milani eyeshadow primer, then I put on that highlighter, and now we're ready to do the Sugar palette. I have not used this palette yet. It looks like we got Pure Matte down here, 2 mattes right here, This one has a little bit of that embedded sparkle, as does that one up in the corner. That means what I've learned from the last palette, that definitely means those are going to perform like mattes. We have a smooth shimmer down here with this kind of lavender purple shade, and then 3 icy colors across the middle. I'm going to swatch those on my finger. That's what those lovely little friends look like. That blue looks like it's maybe really going to stand out with some blue pigment. I'm guessing the pink and the white might just turn out to look similar. Just bright, wet look, icy, highly shimmery shades. They're very soft to the touch, by the way. So let's dig in. I'm going to begin with this color right up top. It just seems like the perfect shade to get into my crease. And then there's a light pinky shade. It's also matte beside that I think will be great for just blending things out and highlighting a bit. But this is looking like matte taupe. What a natural crease. Like, that's just a nice shade. I kind of like when I put a shadow on and I glance at my face and I think it's just accentuating bone structure pretty much. Like, it's not really seeming like makeup. That's kind of cool. I think that's when you know your Set It Up crease shade is really natural. I found myself really enjoying just working with these shadows yesterday, but ultimately my takeaway with that Spice palette, with all the shimmer, a lot of the highly shimmery shades looked alike. Maybe these shades will give us a different experience today. That's pretty. I like using that as kind of a faded out / brighten it up shade right over the border. I'm really overlapping the edge of the crease color I applied. Okay, I'm gonna get darker in my crease, and I'm really intrigued by this shade here that's giving kind of a plum look. Some really pretty pink toned sparkle that's on there, but it's just not gonna be the type of shade where that shows up a lot unless maybe you packed it on heavily. I just don't think that's translating. You're mostly getting the matte of it all. And I'm just working that in my crease. I'm trying to edge it inward a little bit. I hear cats hissing. I feel so bad for Biscuits. I feel like she, in these last few days, she's gotten so nervous. And I've let her be like in our bedroom bathroom area where I can close it off, and I've moved a litter box in there for her because she's just not wanting to engage with what's going on. And I think things are going to slow down a little bit here in a couple days because Pumpkin Spice is getting spayed and things will slow down a bit. She's just going to be slowed down. She's going to have that little cone on for I forget how long that lasts, but none of the kitties like that. But Rosie is more willing to be in the kitten's presence even though they kind of hiss at each other. I don't even know if it's a friendly, playful thing for them, but for Biscuits it's more serious. And yesterday she was just scared. I tried to spend time with her. I tried to go in there and pet her as much as possible and give her food in there because I didn't think she was eating as much as usual. She's just a little stressed, and I pray that that dies down soon. Wow, I really got that soft with this shade here. I want to see some of it like packed on a little tighter, but that's nice to see that it can look that blended. Our other really dark option is just a very deep brown, near black brown. But let's see this. Yeah, it's just a pretty tone. And by the way, my liner looked so good all day yesterday, that liquid liner. I didn't put it through like tears or wetness in any way. I didn't encounter moisture. However, it just stayed very true to color all day. Exactly as fresh and as pure of color and not faded. The swatches came off my hand fairly easily with soap and water. And we'll have, I think, two or three other liners to talk about today, and 2 more lip colors. Look how we're just patting that on. It's a really rich wine color. Every time I flash this palette, it like makes the color adjust on my camera. I'd like to go a little step lighter than that. Maybe this shade right up here, this deepened taupe, has a little sparkle, but you know the story with those. And I'm just gonna buff a little of that right in here. Trying not to ignore my inner crease because this seems like a shade that's gonna just blend and merge into that area with ease. Really blendable. That's a big takeaway. But then again, I knew I liked ABH shadows. Like, this was my familiar thing. Gosh, but you could get really smoky with this palette. Look at that cool, just very nicely faded. The way the colors are layering up is very pleasing. I dig it. You notice how I'm blending, but then I'm not feeling the need to even go in with like, okay, yet another bare blending brush to finish the job or something. It's just looking right. We have got to see the purple. We've got to see the icy blue. I'm thinking, let's take some of this inner lid. It's like matching the color of my shirt. Dabbing her on the center of my lid. See that? Oh yeah. I might need to come back in this way with a little more darkness, but I like the texture of this shade. This is like a classic shimmer. Not that kind of new age flaky sparkle shimmer. No offense to those, there's a difference. I really like when it's smooth and it's like a, you know, a Sydney Grace kind of shimmer. And like I said, I could just take this flat brush that I was using and just come at it from the outer corner a little bit. That's pretty. That would be a really pretty spotlighting shade if we went darker inward. And it would be nice to like do maybe a different pattern on my eyes or a different style of look. But the bottom line is I want to show off as many colors as I can, and it's going to take going inward with something bright to do that. I've got to see the blue. Okay, it's really looking blue on the brush. Let's get in. Will it cling? Will it create immediate fallout? It's looking so absolutely icy. And really cool as it kind of hops onto that lavender as well. Anybody need to be an ice princess for any occasion? Or just your everyday life. Make sure your brush is sort of well packed in, pressed on with that. And then approach your other shade. Oh, it's so pretty. A real fairy princess kind of vibe. And then maybe I could go innermost corner with a little bit of the white frostiness. They benefit from a little bit of a swipe. So here I'm trying to like pat, 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 and it just needs to be able to be swiped a little. But I do have some brightness in there, whether it's picking up on camera or not. I'm thinking, what if we used a little purple under here? I know it's light and stuff, and maybe this isn't even the brush I should be doing that with. Do I have a smaller detail? I got this from my the TikTok brush set. Go into that, and maybe I can kind of stamp it. It's just not going to show it the same impact as it does on the surface area of my lid, but we're trying. It's a beautifully textured shadow. It's just I'm putting it on a very slim zone of space. And then maybe I'll take some of that shade right next to it. I'm going to take some Kosas Cloud Set underneath that, and this helped me a lot yesterday. My shadow didn't go anywhere. And then we have 3 new liquid liners. Here's what I've swatched. We have our white, in the middle is brown, and then navy blue. You can see they're just getting set there, so they may deepen a little bit as they fully dry, but obviously that brown could have fallen right in with the Spice collection too. But I'm going to go with the navy blue for this look. It looks like it's drying down really rich blue, but you can tell it's blue. I really like the precision of the applicators. Also, I should note that when I swatched that full-on white, it only took 1 swatch. It was fully opaque, so if you have some artsy kind of like looks that you want to do with a white eyeliner, it's very full-on true white. There's that navy all across my lash line. Thinking about giving myself just a little wing, so that way maybe I can note how well it's lasting even better. By the way, these are matte. None of these liners that I've swatched have had like any metallic thing going on. Rosie just wants to go into the girls' room, but Pumpkin Spice is like stalking outside of the girls' room too. Her kitten energy is just a little too much for them to handle at times, it seems like. Look at that. I like that navy liner a lot. It's really making me feel like the kind of shade I'd like to use again and again, and I like the way these apply. So I'm gonna pop on some mascara and then we'll try on these lip colors. I used my new Hard Candy Make It Double mascara on top and Cali Ray Come Hell or High Water on the bottom. We've got these 2 shades, and remember how I said they were packaged alongside with the Spice side of the PR package, but they just seemed much more like cool and maybe relevant to this collection than these shades. I thought these seemed like the warm, spicy ones. But if you look up lip velvets, you'll just see all these shades included there, so maybe don't read into it too much. But we have Hush Rose and we have Blackberry. So let's try the Hush Rose first. The little applicator actually holds some product inside, which I like. Helps you get over everything in one sweep. This is definitely the lightest shade out of all 4 lip colors. Kind of a nude, slight bit of pink in it. I think I like it. The more I look at it, the more I think, yeah, I can see me in that. As you can see, these are very pigmented, very full color, opaque, immediately matte lip colors that don't seem to have a full 100% transfer proof dry down. I know I talked all that through yesterday. I'm gonna wipe that away. And then we'll try the Blackberry. Fun fact, Biddy loves blackberries. My girls really get into any kind of fruit they can get. Oh, she's super dark. I don't know why I was expecting it to be a little lighter than this. Okay. Yesterday we had that cool brown and then that kind of deep red. This immediately made this look feel so wintry to me. It's such a dark lip. I mean, you see the darkness of my hair? It's like close to that. But I do kind of like it with the eye. I think the eye is so like light and kind of whimsical. We do have it well defined. It's not like a barely there eye, but then the lip is just serious. It's kind of fun to just see some makeup come out that's in some real serious colors, you know? I think for the duration of the day, I'm probably gonna go back to the lighter one. I think I'll try that. Let's just kind of give a thumbs up or thumbs down to all aspects of this new collection from ABH. The highlighters. Packaging is gorgeous and luxurious, but it thumbs down on that formula. I do not like the way that looks coming in close to my skin. I don't like having that feeling of, ooh, I'm seeing all the pores and what are all these little flecks. The eyeshadow palettes, I really had a nice experience applying both. From a value standpoint, as I look at Spice, I think, gosh, I love those tones. I had a good time applying it, but what's in this middle row really all kind of looks the same. A third of your palette is kind of like one shade. They all just look highly shimmery and sparkly. However, the textures of everything really did work. I didn't have a great deal of fallout from those colors, and even these, you know, applied well with a brush. The others were terrific in application. The Sugar palette, I feel like we're getting more of a differentiation with the color. Like in this row, we didn't get to use this pink today, but it appears to me that each individual shade here of the bright ones is really going to do their own thing. The blending was so easy, even with tones that maybe don't traditionally blend that easily back into your skin, these taupey kind of cool shades. Really had a good time working with these. So I would have to say this was the highlight of the kit. Is it something I'm jumping up and down for daily practical use? I'd have to say no. Just being totally honest, unless these are color schemes and just vibes from these looks that really make you think, oh, I love that. I'm not getting complete and total must-have vibes of it all. The makeup lover in me had a great time with these 2 different concepts. I like the idea of Sugar and Spice. All in all, let's say strongly like, but maybe not completely love. I think ABH's liquid liners are excellent. I enjoyed the application. I think they've put out some great shades, and I like that they seem to stay true to that shade all day without fading. They really look exactly the same. And it's kind of making me want to use liquid liner a bit more. These are thumbs up. And the lip velvets, I don't think I ran into one shade that I am just gaga for. I used some shades that I put on and I was like, oh, that kind of finishes the look in an interesting way, or that took this in a really dramatic direction. You know, I can appreciate them, but I'm not head over heels for them. And I also feel like there are various other low-cost matte liquid lipsticks that you could wear that, granted, they might feel a little drier than this upon dry down, but you could count on them to not transfer off at all. And I'm thinking Maybelline Superstay Matte Ink. I'm thinking the NYX Lingerie XXL. Those are lip colors with a full-on dry down and may be available in some of these similar shades too. I really appreciate trying them, and I'm appreciative of ABH for sending me that whole PR kit. The Sugar and Spice overall concept, I give 2 thumbs up to that. I think that's really cool. And like I said, I think you got to just look at your own personal preference on those eyeshadow palettes. They are really nice quality, but are they worth it to you? Let me know in the comments section. Definitely weigh in if you've tried any of these specific things or just, you know, have a takeaway to share. I would love to hear it, and I'll see you all again very soon. I love you. Bye.